वेलकम यू बैक वंस अगेन इन जियोलॉजिकल नॉलेज। सो प्रीवियसली जब हमने बात करी थी तो अर्थक्वेक्स और साइज्मिक जियोलॉजी के बारे में बात करी थी, जिसमें स्पेशली आवर फोकस वाज टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसेसेस behind the occurrence of particular earthquakes, like the fundamentals of seismic geology, in which we have talked about the primary and secondary waves, seismic waves we can call them, and there are some other very important factors related to the some terminologies also, and the factors or the causes behind the occurrence of earthquakes, that how they occur and what are the major factors uh, which are responsible for the occurrence of a particular earthquakes. Okay, so in the continuation of that discussion, today we will discussion the another very important topic, that is the earthquakes resistant buildings. Okay, though it's very costly for one to construct a earthquake resistant building, there is a lot of processes which go on when we go for the earthquake resistant buildings. But if we want to construct such type of building, again we will have to keep in mind some factors. Okay, that how the beam should be placed, and what should be the structure, and what should be the layout of that particular building especially. That will be the point of our today's discussion. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So these MCQs, these are generally based on the quake resistant building. Okay, so before we start our questions, the multiple types questions, we must understand that what are the quake resistant buildings and why we require it, what are the consideration when we go for the quake resistant buildings. Okay, so in order to have a earthquake resistant building, the structure or the resistant structure, it must have some necessary conditions. Okay, we must understand the necessary conditions to for the determination of the probable intensity and the magnitude of the earthquakes. Okay, obviously if we have to construct an earthquake resistant building, we must understand that what is the uh, means in which seismic zone that particular area is coming. Okay, so on that basis we can decide, or we can take the help of the past earthquakes that have occurred in that particular region. Okay, so probable intensity and the magnitude of the past earthquakes, that will help up to a higher level, that will help to determine that what will be the process of construction. Okay, the seismic waves, their intensity, their magnitude, okay, and the shocks, after shocks, force shocks, so all these things will help us in order to have a earthquake resistant building. Obviously the history and the records of the past or the previous earthquakes, that will also help, and the knowledge of the local geology, that is the one of the most important thing one has to understand in order to have that structure. Okay, the local geology, the geological features of that particular area, they will also help. Okay, whether there is a fractures, fold, faults, or some other types, there will be joints or the fissures, so all these things, hydrogeological features, so all these things, that will decide the earthquake resistant building, means what will be the steps which one have to take for the such type of buildings. Okay, and the precautions are also there. Okay, like the careful planning of the that careful planning of the building, or the how we have to construct that particular building, that will ensure the stresses. Okay, or the ensure that the streets are wide in relation to the heights of the buildings. Okay, and many of uh, the casualties which takes place in a particular earthquake prone area, these are because during earthquakes and due to the collapse of the tall buildings. Okay, so if the streets are wider, okay, so then the buildings, they will collapse in a planar region, not in a cloudy region. Okay, if the streets are wider in space as compared to the narrower streets. And it has also been found that the rigid structures, they ensure or the endure seismic shocks better as compared to the flexible ones. Okay, so the rigidity of the particular structure that ensure, and that is why the steel framed or the ferro concrete structures, they generally survive the severe shocks. Okay, and the taller structures, they should be avoided. Okay, taller structures, they must be avoided. So all these things, that will be the point of our today's discussion. That's why we have discussed that what we will discuss in a nutshell. Okay, so you will have the overview at what we are going to discuss in today's discussion. So very first question is dealing with the structures built on which land have to withstand the greater risk or during an earthquake. Okay, the structures which are built on which land have to withstand greater risk during the particular earthquake: solid mass, strong rocks, or the loose soil, or the unfractured masses. Okay, so generally the structures, they may be made up of the loose soil, hard soil, or they may be the combination of some rocky material or some other constituents they can have in the structure or the composition of that particular structure. So structures built on the loose soil or the sediments or the weak rocks, they will have to withstand the greater risk compared to those founded or the created on the solid bedrocks in the same region, other things being the same. Because of the loose soil or the weak soil or the sediments, uh, they will have to withstand the greater risk as compared to the those founded on the solid beds. Okay, so here the option A, option B, loose soil, that will be the correct option. Second one is, what do the rocks undergo during the seismic shocks? When the seismic shocks takes place, what happens to a particular rock? Okay, tension, expansion, strengthening, or the compaction. So we all know that is the structures which are built on the loose soil, they are more risky due to the fact that the soil particles undergo a lot of compaction. Because the soil is very loose, as we have talked in the first question, the soil is very loose, so that's why the rocks, they will also be loose. Okay, and the compaction, they will go for the process of compaction during the seismic shocks, thereby causing the settlement. Okay, so what do the rock undergo during seismic shocks? So they will go for the process of compaction, option D. Third one is dealing with the what should be the type of foundation for the concrete and masonry building. Okay, so the type of foundation means the what should be the type of a particular foundation for the concrete and the masonry building: continuous, discontinuous, shallow foundation, or the isolated foundation. So two terms are there, one is the continuous and second is the discontinuous. So foundation for the concrete and the masonry building, they must be excavated to the some level, to the same level throughout the building, and should be as far as possible of continuous type. Means the material we are using, the proper planning of that particular structure, that should be continuous. The material particular which are being used, that should be continuous. Means there must not be brittle material, ductile material, or the loose soil. So the particular material, that should be of same nature. Otherwise there must be some softer material, some lighter material, or some of the heavier material. Softer and heavier material, that will be the discontinuity that will provide to the particular structure. So there must be the continuity of the material. Okay, so that will be the correct option A, that is the continuous structures or the continuous foundation, we can say. Fourth one is, what is the characteristic of walls for the quake resistant building? Means the walls which are being generated, which are being constructed, what should be their characteristic, okay, for the earthquake resistant building? heavier in weight, as thick as possible, lighter in weight, acoustic. Okay, so we all know that is the one of the most important factor for the earthquake resistant building or the construction of earthquake resistant building. That is the walls should be lighter in weight as compared to the beams. Okay, so the beams which are being laid there on the vertically, so they must be higher, they must be heavier in weight. Okay, so the load management, the stress management, that is on the basis, or the stress management is decided by the walls and the beams or the pillars, we can say. Okay, so the pillars, they must be higher in weight, and the walls, they must be lighter in weight. So the walls should be, unless properly designed for the resisting lateral forces, as light in weight as possible and made up of wood or the lighter material or the light weight concrete. Okay, so in the most of the cases, or the areas which are most prone to the earthquakes, the walls or the houses or the buildings, they are made up of the wood. Okay, wood or the lighter weight material or the lighter weight concrete material. Okay, so option C, that will be the correct option. What should be maintained in the crossed wall, in the cross walls? Okay, continuity, discontinuity, intersection, or the gaps. So continuity of the cross walls, that should be maintained as far as the possible, and in such a way that different parts of a particular building behave as integrals of the same structure and not randomly. Okay, so the cross walls which are being made means the beams, they should be continuous in nature. Okay, and that they should be the integral part, or the building must behave as the integrals of the same structure and not randomly oriented. Okay, so the cross walls, they should be continuous in nature as well. So option A, that will be the correct one. Sixth one is dealing stronger and the resistant walls should be designed with plain concrete. So there is a statement given here, the stronger and the resistant walls, they should be designed with a plain concrete. So whether this statement is true or false, that we have to pinpoint here. So the stronger and the resistant walls, they should be designed with reinforced concrete as compared to the plain concrete. Okay, so the most of the buildings, not the earthquake resistant building, just the plain buildings, they are also being constructed, or they are, or the beams or the pillars, they are also being formed, they are also being constructed only of the RCC material or the reinforced concrete, not the plain concrete. Okay, and that you must understand, that is the RCC, that you must understand that why we call them the reinforced concrete. So they are called as reinforced concrete because that's a composite material, or the in which the concrete's relatively low tensile strength and the ductility, they are counteracted by the inclusion of reinforced cement. Okay, so RCC, reinforced cement, having the higher tensile strength or the ductility. Okay, so concrete, that has also composite material, that's already a concrete material or the composite material, in which the concrete's relatively low tensile strength and the ductility, that is again counteracted because of the inclusion of the reinforced cement. Okay, and that provides the higher tensile strength as well as the ductility to a particular structure or to a particular building. Okay, so that's why the RCC building, that is being preferred over the normal or the plain building, plain concrete. Okay, so the statement which was given, the stronger and the resistant walls, they should be designed with plain concrete. So this is wrong. The walls should be designed with a reinforced concrete, or the RCC we can call them. Next one is, seventh one is dealing with the which type of roofs they gives better resistance against the shocks, whether they are after shocks or the fore shocks. So the type of roofs which give better resistance against the shocks. So options are sloped roofs, the thatched roofs, flat roofs, or the straw roofs. So the flat roofs or the RCC roofs, they give better resistance against the shocks compared to the slopy roofs or those designed with a different slope and angles. Okay, so the plain roofs, they give better resistance against the aftershocks or foreshocks. Okay, so option C will be the correct option in this particular question. Eighth one is dealing which one of the following, which of the following need not to be avoided for the construction of quake resistant building. The four options are given and you have to tell which one of the following that need not to be avoided. Okay, one, we should not avoid for the construction of quake resistant building: the uniform height, chimneys, heavy weight walls, or the discontinuous foundation. Okay, so the uniform height, that should not be avoided. Other than chimneys, heavy weight walls, we have also discussed that heavy weight walls, they are not preferred. Okay, lighter waves, the light weight walls, which are generally made up of the woody material. Okay, or discontinuous foundation, that is not also. Continuous foundation we need, chimneys we don't need. So we need the uniform height not to be avoided. So as far as the possible, uniform height should be given to the structure. The rest of the options, they have to be avoided as much as possible, as they are risky for the construction or for the successful construction of a quake resistant building. Okay, so uniform height, that should be the correct option here, option A. Ninth one is, a dam is subjected to simpler system of forces during an earthquake compared to the other buildings. Okay, so the statement is given, that is, a dam is subjected to a simpler system of forces during an earthquake as compared to the other buildings. So whether this statement is true or false, that we have to tell. So a dam is subjected to a more complex system of forces during an earthquake. Okay, because the dam has been created just to have the storage of water or the storage of a reservoir water. Okay, so obviously there will be stresses or the forces or the pressure of the overlying pressure of that water, that also raises that also increases the chances of a particular earthquake. So a dam is subjected to a more complex system of forces during an earthquake as compared to a multi-story building. The risk factor has to be a higher order because of the overpressure of water or the stresses and stress which are working on that particular dam site. So the statement given here, that is false. Okay, the dam is subjected to a simpler system of forces during an earthquake compared to the other buildings, so that is wrong. Okay, 10th one is dealing in a storage dam, how many forces have to be considered. Means when the particular when dams are being created, then what are the forces which have to be considered. So options are 1, 2, 3 or 4. So there are basically two types of forces. Okay, forces due to the dam and forces due to the reservoir water, or we can call them the water pressure as well as the pore pressure. Okay, so water pressure, that is the pressure of reservoir water which tends to displace the dam horizontally, okay, and the water entering into the permeable rocks below the dam site, they exert an upward pressure also on the base of it. So this pressure, which is equivalent to the hydrostatic pressure, that is known as sometimes pore water pressure of the uplift pressure, okay. And second one, that is also that we have also discussed, that is the water pressure, okay. So in a storage dam, two types of forces have to be considered: forces due to the dam itself and the forces due to the reservoir water, okay. So option B 2, that is will be the correct here. 11th one is discussing or dealing with the, to avoid searing, dam has to be placed as far as possible from, means in order to avoid searing, a dam has to be placed as far as possible from joints, folds, intrusions or the faults. So they must be avoided, the faults should be avoided. A dam should be placed as far as possible from the faults. So for avoiding failure due to the shearing strength or the shearing, the proximity of a fault that must be clearly ascertained, and these should be placed as far as away from a fault as possible, okay. So this was our discussion about the earthquake resistant buildings, their basic concept or the consideration which must be taken place in order to have earthquake resistant building. Okay, so in the next video we will talk about some other questions, and especially we will talk about the mass wasting or the mass wasting process, that will be talked about, okay.